Request from Fredonia Chamber to use the West Barker Common during music in the park, Wednesday, June 26th, Wednesday, July the 27th, and Wednesday, August the 28th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That's every year. Recommendation of Begisli to award bid for liquid chlorine. Recommendation of Begisli to award bid for synthetic flocculant. Recommendation of Begisli to award bid for ferric chloride. Recommendation of Chris Serma to award bid for polyaluminum chloride. Recommendation of Chris Serma to award bid for polyorthophosphate. Recommendation of Chris Serma to award bid for powder blend of inorganic phosphates. And recommendation of Chris Serma to award bid for polycationic polymer. All these are standards. Then awarding of water meters for the Department of Public Works. Awarding of village fuel. NICOM payment. Seasonal hires for Department of Public Works. Approval of abstract number 513. Budget transfer approval.
Jim, on this budget transfer approval, you had mentioned earlier to me that there was an addition. Is that on this one? Okay, thanks.
Village banner placement agreement with Niagara Mohawk.
I have some questions on that.
Mm-hmm.
Get my notes here. Is it actually with Niagara Mohawk or National Grid? Do we know that?
Whatever we asked for, is it,
I think they're both the same. It's one of the same, Doug. Their contract still states Niagara Mohawk, but it is in fact now National Grid.
Okay, because this contract is dated from 1995.
Yep.
Okay,
Apparently I haven't updated the name on that, but
okay. So they still go by you or TBA or whatever?
yes.
Okay. Also, some of these poles are jointly owned by DFT. Have they been communicated with, do you know, on those poles, or did National Grid have to communicate with
I
them?
believe the attached spreadsheet are all National Grid polls, but I can double check with the city of Dunkirk on that, and reach out to DFT if necessary.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
recommended BECC electric bid contract 18-1E, as well as the recommended H&K Services Incorporated bid contract 18-1G. These are both for the upgrades of the wastewater treatment plant. We finished with all the preliminary work, and now we awarding these two contracts to these two companies, and hopefully going to start working pretty soon. And then the application submission to Western New York REDC for 2018 Downtown Revitalization Initiative. This is the same that we applied last year. We got instead the smart growth for $2.5 million. We're applying again for the downtown revitalization. God knows we have many, many projects that we can use the money for, and that's for $10 million. Okay. All right. Then we have Fredonia Fire Department report for the month of April. We have the Village Justice report for the month of April. Have this Habitat for Humanity letter. Notification from Volunteer Fire Department regarding annual activities. Notification from Volunteer Fire Department regarding Thomas Gustafson move to Brockton. And Mr. Scott McKay, the Planning Board Chairman. Who's Scott? Oh, I'm looking behind you. Thank you for coming. he wanted to come and discuss a little bit with the board rental law.
I want to talk about a little bit is the rental ordinance.
Sorry to intervene, we were thinking of going back and do something about the rental law that was defeated last year, a few months ago. And Mr. McKay has some ideas.
And I wanted just to let the board know kind of what our approach is going to be or is starting out to be. And that is we're looking at predominantly revising or the need for revision of the various responsibilities that were in there. Some of the conversations we've heard from the community and is that some feel that they were either unnecessary or restrictive. So we're going to be looking at, the wording possibly. And so our focus right now will be on the responsibilities, the things we're asking the landlords to do. It's pretty well laid out here. This was the last document, and I only show you this because that's kind of the extent of the revisions. There's quite a few of them. And try and resolve those concerns. And I'm here tonight to ask, or to let you know we're doing this, and if you have any input that would help us sharpen our focus on where we should be looking in the ordinance so we can expedite the process. For just utility of the community, we need to get this published and resolved, and we need to put to bed any of the disconnects that we have. So that's why I'm here tonight. If you have any questions. The other point I would make is I have the board's first meeting to review this is tomorrow in here at 5:30. If anybody wishes to join us, they're more than welcome.
Thank you. I would like more specifically to focus on the registration.
Yes?
Registry of all rentals. That includes the units and the owner, the landlord, and some way of finding him, some information about the owner. Has nothing to do with the tenants, just with the owner. That's one of the things. And the second, these two things are very important, I think, is a manager for landlords who live more than 2 counties away. So I would like the board to, Mr. McKay, I'd like the board to give some input on that.
Okay. Well, let you know what I'm doing, and with that, get on with it.
What do you think? Trustee Barris?
Are we going to discuss this tomorrow night?
Yes?
Is that the, okay.
Yeah, this is the first meeting we'll have for this round of review and revision. So there'll be a lot of discussion tomorrow night, 5:30 in here.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Absolutely necessary. I'm glad you're moving forward with it and get it completed. That's great.
Very good.
We'll be asking some questions tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you tomorrow.
Can I go back to something
Sure.
about the Habitat for Humanity? That's the same date that, I think it's Festivals Fredonia is planning a farm-to-table dinner. Does anybody else
Did
know
we know
anything
that?
about this?
I don't think we have.
Okay, they're planning a farm-to-table, local restaurants, breweries, wineries, having a big dinner out on, I believe, Church Street out here. I don't think that they've brought anything to the village to be considered for a resolution yet, but it's the same date.
It's in September?
September 28th.
Okay.
It's the same day, so I don't know if we could do both, or if it would be a problem.
But this is, they're asking you for permission and they haven't.
Right.
I mean, I'm all for
Can we
the farm to
can we hold
festival.
off on approving this until I contact Larry? Because this is a big thing that they're planning, a huge
Chamber.
chamber, okay.
Chamber doing that?
Yeah, so I think that I don't think that,
And that's,
this is supposed to start at 5, the farm to table, and this ends at 5. I don't know if that's a problem. What do you think? You don't think it's gonna be a problem? Because they are also requesting Church Street from Temple to Park, roadblocks. I don't know. The college is having a Habitat for Humanity, like a fundraiser in the park that same day. I don't think we could do both.
well, that's the reason we should have a calendar
5 to
of
8.
events. Because now we are, we said probably yes to this group from the college. And all of a sudden to go back and say, wait a minute, maybe it's another thing that we didn't know about.
Well, we haven't voted on
just
this yet.
done-
We haven't approved it yet, right? Officially.
No, we haven't, but we have that for
That's not
some
till
time
Sep-
now.
But it's not till September, so I wonder.
But we
if-
have it through May, since May,
That's true.
since the beginning of the month.
And the
I
chamber
mean, I
hasn't.
feel kind of uncomfortable. Of course, it's up to the board.
Is there any time?
Well,
that
maybe
can-
they could plan, maybe they could do this a different weekend. I don't know.
You think it's gonna be okay if they finish like an hour earlier?
Right.
Yeah, you guys set up tents, supposed to be set up early that morning.
Chefs coming in.
Yeah, I don't think it would be possible to do both.
There's supposed to be music and stuff too. Big, lot of stuff going on
Right.
for that.
It's a pretty big event.
I am very uncomfortable about that. Let's give them a call tomorrow to see
Ask if
we
there's any
can
way they could reschedule
reschedule
this,
that.
because there's a conflict. I mean, I would imagine they would be willing to be flexible, maybe.
Have we done the farm to table already?
No,
Oh, that's the first one too? It's the first time event? Okay.
yeah.
That's the first, that is the first time. I've-
Okay.
Are you getting both parks for that? Because this is only this side over here. where we're-
Farm to table is in front of here.
Oh, it's over
In
this
front
side.
of
It's on
Village
this
Hall,
side.
I believe.
It's on
East
that
Village
side?
and this side.
On the
If
gazebo
they're, if
side?
they're on the other side, I don't see it being.
It will be an all-day event with craft stations, food and drinks, basket raffle, fall-themed games, live music, dance performances, painting pumpkins, Church Street to Temple, Church Street from Temple to Park.
Okay, well, we're gonna
Would be
try, we're
shut
gonna
down,
try
blocked
to.
off.
That is.
If they
that
can
is that
change
side.
it.
We're gonna
That is-
try
that is that
to-
side, though.
I
No,
know,
that's
but
fine, but let's try to change it. But, I mean, I'm gonna tell you that I feel very uncomfortable doing this, coming to the board meeting and then deciding that we have a conflict. So I would appreciate if we have a calendar from before, so Anne Marie can check it when she gets these letters. Because Habitat for Humanity is, again, a big thing. I mean, I'd like to support
I'm
that.
chatting with Larry. He said they use the west side, we will use the east side. Guess he's watching what's going on.
But she's talking about live music, she's talking about like a lot of people going there.
I think it's a lot to have going on all at the same
They
time.
both have music, Dave, you were saying?
Yeah, but it won't start. Theirs
won't start until
finishes
later.
at 5, ours starts at 5. The other one starts, the farm to table starts.
I mean,
Well, that's not that.
let's ask if they can change it first.
And if they can't,
First,
then
let's
maybe-
contact the college and see if they can reschedule.
Okay,
I
if
don't
they
know, I don't
cannot.
see-
If they can, then we'll have to figure out maybe a way to make it work.
I don't see a whole lot of conflict there.
It's not a lot of
Be-
conflict,
be-
no.
Because they're on both separate sides, and one is basically tearing down when the other one is setting up. But they're on separate portions of the parks. So.
I think
there
let's
really
ask
isn't
if
a
they can
conflict.
reschedule first. And if they can't,
I think it's nice to have the amount of activity throughout the entire day, quite frankly.
Okay, well, let's discuss it tomorrow, if it's otherwise, what do you think?
I kind of agree with Jim. I think if that one event ends at 5, and it says here on our agenda that this request from Chamber use of Barker Common starts at 6 to 8:30, I think that would kind of be a plus, to be honest with you, for both events, that people would be there to carry over from one event to the other, and if one's in
but this
one-
is you have to have reservations for this. Isn't like a come as you are. This is like a, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a more formal event rather than just
Yes.
a
Plus,
have
on the
food
other side,
vendors.
you know, when they set up, on the other side, they're gonna pick up things, clean garbage, I understand what you say. It's not gonna be a conflict, but it's just different activities and two.
I mean, yeah, I think it would be nice to have events all day long and have people come and go, but this is a very formal, very specific event. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like a farm festival where people are just coming and going and
But it'll
having
be
food.
over by 5, and this other event starts at 6. I
No, it
guess
starts
it's
at 5.
About 5.
Can we just see if they can, can we just
Okay.
ask if they can
Well,
reschedule, and if
that's my
not, we
thought.
can make
That's
it
fine.
work?
This is my thought.
Just make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would, I understand, I think it's nice having things going on in the park concurrently, but I just, this is like a big to-do,
I guess if they
I guess.
ask, if it is a problem, then I guess
We'll make it
we
work.
could still make, it is possible to make it work.
More than what's going on this side.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Gotta work together.
Anyway, do we have the letter from Mr. Fiorella?
It might be in June 3rd's folder for the board meeting, yeah.
Because we're going to discuss it a little bit tonight,
Oh, which letter, I'm sorry.
the letter about the fee for the
Right
food
here.
truck.
I don't, it was emailed to everybody.
Yes.
Oh, yes, so
yeah.
everybody has it.
Everyone
that's-
has it, yeah.
Okay, all right, so we know what we're talking about. So, you read the letter,
Read
you
the
know
letter.
the law, and I'd like to ask you for your opinion.
Are there persons other than Larry here from Festivals for Fredonia that could answer some questions? Excellent.
Festivals,
What
like-
businesses and what people
Talk
did you
about
speak to from the
downstairs
brick and mortar,
licenses.
please?
Which people? We talked to
What businesses and people?
Aloes, the Upper Crust, Mustard Seed, EBC,
Okay.
Fred's. We walked the street one Friday afternoon and got their opinions in there.
Okay, yeah, I'm just kind of surprised that you kind of got the responses that you did. I was kind of expecting more of a blowback from the brick and mortar.
Blowback.
As far as maintaining the original $500 fee, you know, keeping
They
it,
weren't, they're not.
I know.
Personally, I'd be open to have the option of either a yearly or per event, just as long as the per event is kind of fair. For example, if I come for the Italian festival and I'm only there for a day, and I pay, let's say, $50 for being there a day, or I come for the Farmers Festival, and then I can be there for 3 days for $50. I don't think that's fair. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand totally what you're saying, and I agree that, yeah, it should be more for the longer festivals. But I will tell you this, I had from the farm festival, 3 of my food vendors call me today. All 3 of them understand the new law, and they're all going to get some sort of permit, what it is, whenever you decide. But they also said, since they're paying that extra money, they have to increase all their food prices. So all those food prices that are already kind of expensive are getting increased even higher. So the more we charge, the higher it's gonna be, which draws less people in to eat the food and draws less people into the festivals, which draws less people into the village. That's just my argument.
I understand. I mean, this can go farther than they have, if they have good quality and people have a good time, maybe they can have more people, and then they don't need to raise them. I mean, how much you need to raise your prices to get like to $50 a day, or to $100? It's,
I don't know own a food
I don't
truck, so I
know
don't.
either. It's just a general question that I'm asking, because at the same time, we try to put some kind of regulations to regulate it somehow, so no, people cannot just come, because, to be honest, we use our police officers, we use our code enforcement officers, we use electricity, we use water, and that's fine, we want that, we want the movement, we want the people to come, obviously, but we're trying to find a good medium, let's say, for everybody. I want the people to come. At the same time, I'm thinking about the brick and mortar, that we have to be fair to those businesses as well. So I mean, it's gonna be up to the board, just expanding the conversation.
I think that when we talked to the brick and mortars, they were fine with like a $50 to $100 fee for it all, and we totally get it that our festivals create more costs. We are not opposed to that, but we would like to get more out-of-town food trucks in so that we can bring their customers. For example, if one of them, the Cheesy Chick, came down, she's gonna put on her webpage, I'll be in Fredonia, June 29th for the Italian Festival, so all of her regulars could possibly come down to follow her. So we wanna get
And
5
that's
of
great.
those.
I mean, that's
But
what we
she
want.
can't try for $300. She's gonna come try us one time, a $300 or a $500 fee. You gotta sell a lot of macaroni and cheese for that. And we wanna get them, it can increase through the years, that's fine, we've talked to them, they're good with that. We just want it to be more so that we can give them a chance. We can't write their business plans and say, you gotta pay $300, but you can be here all year. They may not be able to be there. Their daughter could be getting married, their son could be graduating on our festivals. There could be other festivals that they have going on in the area, because we only have a short time in New York for nice weather with festivals. So they could be back to back with festivals. We're just asking for it to be more fair to them so that we can bring them in, because we want
No,
more people in.
I get it, I totally get it, I absolutely, I get it. So it's, as I said, my thought was to leave it, to be double. If somebody wants for the whole year, it's gonna be a specific thing, or if somebody wants to come by event and by day, that would be two. Okay, so I don't know, what do you think?
So you're saying continue the 500 for if somebody wants to come all year, and if you want to come to a per event, we have a per event fee as well?
That's what I'm thinking, to
500.
offer, at least,
So if they
at
come.
least for the beginning.
I think this sounds reasonable, what they've proposed, to be honest with you.
They don't propose any money.
$50 for a 7-day license.
I don't think $50 for 7 days, okay. Because again,
But they're
if
not
I
gonna
come
come-
for 1 day, I pay 50. If I come for 7, I pay 50.
They're not gonna come for 7 days, I don't think.
No, they can come for 3 though. Farms Festival is 3 days.
Yeah, but 30 days is 200. I don't know, I'm okay with this. I think it's reasonable, at least to see how it works.
Okay, I would go to $50
I
a
know
day.
I know the regulations, when we first put it in place, we weren't sure where the cost, how it would affect anything, and I understand that there's become a difficulty trying to get businesses to come for the $500 per year. And the way that our regulations is now set is that we could adjust the fee with the
Oh, yeah,
resolution.
Discussing that.
With the resolution, but to make any other changes of the structure of the fees would take an amendment to the regulations, the structuring.
Are we gonna make
The
an
fee
amendment to
itself,
the
we could
law?
change.
No, we should just need a resolution.
For even this amendment, the structure we could?
Yeah, and we should be able to do that with a regular resolution.
Well, then, can we then, the idea of having a 300 annual, but I think that, I do like the idea of a $50 per day fee would be fine, but not to max out anything. It's $50. If you choose to do $50 fees, even if it goes up to $600, because you've chosen 6 different days, or you know, the number of different days to reach that number. So it would not just, they should have bought a $300 permit. In other words, you could elect to buy a $300 permit for a whole year. But if you want to do it day by day, it's $50 a day. You get come in, get a permit for the day, it's $50.
Can we change it?
You know, if that's their choice. But if they want to buy a $300 thing for the year, well, hey, they're good. But I don't think it should accumulate, it should not accumulate to reach the level. Because then you got to track, well, how much have you spent so far? You know, who's going to track each person's expenditures, well, I think I met the guidelines. Well, no, you didn't. Well, I think I did. That kind of stuff. There's debate on that. But so either you come in and you buy a day permit or a annual permit. And I think that, I would work with that. I'd be okay with that. That's what the mayor recommended. I think I was good with that. I
I'm
mean,
opposed.
and it might,
So we've had a thorough discussion of this in the past, so. We voted for a $500 annual fee. People may come 365 days a year, any combination.
Okay, so you won't support an amendment
No.
to that? Okay.
I think my thought on this is, when the committee started, we did not include brick and mortar businesses, we did not include Festivals Fredonia, the people that this affects. So the results of this committee's recommendations were skewed because you did not have the people that it affected, and now we're going back, and I originally thought that that $500 fee should stay until we see how it works, but after thinking about it, the committee really wasn't, in my opinion, formed with the right people involved, and now that we have the opinions of the people involved, I think this recommendation is appropriate.
Well, we can go back and fix it, Mr. Esek. Nobody's perfect. So that's what I'm doing here.
Absolutely.
So anyways,
How did people feel about a per event fee?
You're
People are.
talking about the food trucks?
yeah.
They're much happier with that.
Okay.
Well, that's a,
That $50
As opposed to a
thing-
7-day $50 fee.
Per event would be fine.
per
Oh,
event
okay.
would be fine. I am not
Per-
opposed
per
with the
event.
$50 per day. That's great.
So
I
$50
think
per
that-
event.
That's
Per day,
that's what
per
I'm going.
event.
So $50 for the farm
per
festival,
day.
per day.
Now, that would be $150.
Right.
$150.
That would be $150 as opposed to $300.
Right.
Okay.
So it'd be per day. If you have a 3-day event, it's $150.
And I mean,
that- and that
the
would-
hope is that these people are going to come, and then they're going to realize that we have a good market here, and they want to come back again, and maybe next year
And
pay
maybe
their
they'll
whole
buy
thing.
If they can be at every festival, we'd love to have them at a
Then they would buy
festival,
the
but
$300.
we don't
Right,
always
they would,
have.
right.
Sure. And it would, a way to get them
You
to
think it's
try
gonna be
it.
easy?
So $50 per day or a one-time fee that covers a year for
Yes, I mean, that's
Right.
going to be the option. They always,
300?
Well, they
That's
said
up
this
to
year
you.
was 300, next year it starts at 500,
Yes.
is what I got.
That's not,
yes.
where that was wrong. Where it was-
That was the letter I got from Festivals.
You got a letter from us stating that?
Yes.
I thought it was I thought
It
we
was
had
$500.
We had
It was
500
$500.
originally.
Well,
Larry
I'm gonna
proposed
tell you, the letter I got,
From-
I can't remember who it was from, I don't have it with me, but it said that, yes, it's 500, but due to the late notice of this year, they were changing it to 300 for this year.
Who sent this letter?
500
I don't know
last year.
anything about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's accurate.
That was.
Chuck?
It might have been Chuck, because he sent me the application and everything with it.
Maybe it
said
was
I could
last
send it
year-
to
last
all
year
the
then?
food trucks. Yeah, I don't know, I sent it to all my food truck vendors, so I can't remember who sent it to me. I have a copy on my computer, I don't have it here.
The only thing that we would have sent was, it was prorated when the law was adopted. If you wanted to do a food truck before April,
Oh,
we would
Yes.
prorate that.
okay.
Oh, because.
But then after
Okay.
April 1st,
Yes.
it was $500 for the whole season.
Okay.
The only thing I ask is just keep it simple, because
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to go out and inspect, and
Right.
the chief has to go out and inspect to make sure that they have licenses and stuff. And when it's per event, it seems like it's more difficult to manage on our end, because we don't know who has the certificates or not. If it was just a flat fee, if it was just a flat $100 fee for this year, just to get this done with, you know, it would probably be more simple than a $50 per event.
However, if somebody comes, let's say I come May 1st, and I'm going to one event, and I pay my $50, and you inspect me and you do all these things, this is exactly the same thing if I come and I say I pay my $500 and I stay for the whole year. So the inspection, I think, should be valid for the whole year. You should not go out again. Do you agree?
Well, the problem is what if their employees change for the next event? You know, we don't know who's operating that truck, and that's one of the things that we're checking is a background check.
Well, that's
So-
another question, actually, and I've discussed a little bit with the chief, that the Festivals Fredonia are proposing not to do the background check. Their justification is that brick and mortar people don't do the background check. And I understand the transient nature of people, like, you know, I'm not from here, I'm just come for a day, nobody knows who I am, if I leave, nobody can find me. And I think that's discussion. What do you think, Brad?
What you get out of a background check is, by New York State law, we can determine if there are warrants for the individual. We can determine if they're on probation or parole, and what the conditions of their probation or parole are. And then, obviously, if they're on record within the village of Fredonia, we can decide whether they're miscreants and need to be a close eye kept on them. But that's as far as the background check goes anyhow, under New York State law, for a person. And couple that comment with the fact that if they did come here for an annual, we would not, every time they show up, go back and say, who's working today? If they changed, I suspect, if they changed employees during the course of the year, we wouldn't go and say, you gotta come in every time you change employees and tell us who the new employees are.
That's what we're thinking.
That every time they change employees, they have to come back.
Yeah, Brad, that's what the law says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Because we were concerned about specific individuals, and the thing, one of the things you left out of the list that we would get
Child,
would be,
yeah,
exactly.
Sex offender registry.
And that's a big concern.
Yeah, no argument, but philosophically, that doesn't apply to brick and mortar. They are
No, but
correct.
philosophically, brick and mortar people are here, so if something happens, I know where to find them.
Right.
Generally, I mean, maybe they move out,
Right.
but
They
generally.
don't come in under the cloak of darkness and leave under the cloak of darkness, and then we find out later things that they've done and we can't find them, or find out even who they are.
Yeah.
Because we know who they are, because we go to brick and mortar place and say,
I mean, we're
who
not
you have
trying,
working for you yesterday?
we're not trying to discriminate against anybody except, you know, child molesters and people like that who we don't want in the community.
Brad, have you done studies or looked at different places like up in Buffalo where they do that and they've come up across and they've had problems with this issue, do you know?
No, I haven't, and quick, I don't believe there would be anything, any statistical material to look at. It's so new, and I'm not sure anybody's really generating those kind of statistics, like how many arrests do you make out of the food truck employees? I don't think I could mine that information from any police department. We do know that.
Another question is, for the Farms Festival, let's say, where all these people who come and sell their product here, all the vendors, do we do background check for these people? The vendors?
Are you asking me? No.
No.
Now, if you came to get a peddler's permit,
Yes, that's different.
that's different. Yes, we do better.
But people who come for festivals, let's say, we don't.
No, no.
No.
So you are kind
So-
of narrowing down, in a way, who we're targeting as far as background check. I mean, like you just said, you could have a vendor come in from Rochester selling knit products, that's a child sex offender, and you don't even know that, so I mean, I guess, where do you draw the line? I understand what you're saying, stuff, but I mean, it's just like, so we look at 5 or 6 food vendors and we don't look at 200 vendors who do various products of,
do you
different
think?
things.
I don't know, other communities do this. Do they have this kind of conversation and this much agonizing and hand-wringing? I don't know, maybe they do, I don't know, but they've got food trucks here, they got food trucks there, they got food trucks everywhere, but we seem to have a problem having food trucks in Fredonia. I don't know why that is.
Well, I can tell you that not necessarily food trucks, okay? But over the years, I've sat on this conversation a couple times in the past, where they've decided, oh my gosh, it's too much of a hassle. We don't want to discriminate against anybody. We don't want to, we don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. Let's get rid of the background check. And twice in the past, all of a sudden, you get somebody you don't want, and I've been sitting at these meetings going, well, if we would have had a background check, all right? So, I mean, these are the things that I don't think we should get rid of that requirement regardless of what the fee is. I think that's really important to the community.
And I think our law was drafted from the city of Buffalo's law. Don't quote me, because it was quite a while ago when we did it. But for some reason, I think that's how we threw background checks in there, because we were actually working with the Buffalo law on what they were doing for their food trucks. And they have their food truck events every week.
Brad, I'm not disagreeing with background checks and making sure we have the right people in our community, but I feel uncomfortable narrowing it down and kind of actually thinking about all the different vendors we do have here that you're not checking out. So, I mean, you just,
You're not offending me.
no. So I guess what I'm saying is, I just feel uncomfortable narrowing it, I guess either, and might these groups say you're discriminating against us in a way if you're not gonna do background checks on every vendor that comes into any festival?
So is that what you suggest?
No, I'm just making a statement.
No, I'm just wondering, because, I mean, the thing of it is, if we're gonna, if the issue is narrowing it down in the worry of discrimination, then the answer is not to
Not do it.
not do it, the answer is to
To
do it for everybody.
I guess that's that's a thought. I mean, I'm just wondering if we're concerned about people and food trucks coming in and causing a problem, and we're not worried about every other
Well,
vendor.
I'd like to draw a parallel, if I could,
Okay.
philosophically. The people who are, who are in the food vendor industry are not the same people who are coming down with their paintings and their crocheted wall hangings and the people who you may find within the food truck industry may live a more a lifestyle where they travel, well, no, they travel from state to state to state. Perhaps they lose a job here and they go get another job someplace else. The people who are doing arts and crafts in the park aren't losing their job doing arts and crafts and going to another state, getting hired to do arts and crafts. They're people who actually create the product, come here and sell their product. I don't think that you're as likely to find individuals that may be here with the intent of perhaps doing harm, but that's just my philosophical statement. I can't sit here and tell you I got any kind of empirical study to point at to say that, and here's the proof.
And I don't have a problem with background checks. If you legally think that that's fine and there's no issue with that, I'm good with I'm good with leaving this in here and not excluding that from.
I don't think I have the personnel I gotta be honest with you, there's probably 300, 350 people over in that park working, if you include children, the husband, the wife, and their children in there.
It's not logistically possible.
I don't think it is. I really, I mean, I don't think, and then the next event and the next event, I would.
No, we're not going there. I mean, that's-
Yeah, I want everybody to understand that would be really tough for us.
Keep in mind too, that the food trucks are not coming just for festivals, Fredonia. They can come and get a license and set up at 3 o'clock in the morning on Water Street and sell food, or, that's why you want to make sure you know who you're dealing with. This isn't just a festivals thing. Once we give a license or a permit, they can go anywhere in the village, 100 feet away from a brick and mortar, and set up shop and sell candy, food, whatever.
If they get the annual.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if they do say that we use the same application process, the same background check on the per day event. I'm not even gonna call it per event, the per day permit. If they come back another time, when they come in to pay the fee again, they could be asked, have you any change of personnel? If they say no, they pay their fee and move on. If they say yes, but we don't have to worry about anything but their personnel the second time they come in. So they do the annual one where it's the whole gamut. And then if they come back, I mean, they do their first one. I use the word annual, but I don't want to imply I mean the annual permit. Okay. They do their first one, and then anytime they come back, they pay the additional fee and they're simply asked, has there been any change in personnel?
It's no biggie, right?
I mean, and to piggyback on what they're saying, There's a difference between, you know, if I'm gonna set up Bob's Crochet Stand in the park, I don't need a permit from the village to do that through the Festivals Fredonia, all right? I don't need the permit for that. But if the village is going to choose to permit this at all, then we're kind of taking on a little bit of the liability about who we allow to do that. I mean, it's not really the village endorsing, but it kind of is. You know what I mean?
I think it's fine if it stays
And
there.
I also think that, because this is for the food trucks, ones with wheels, okay, I get it, I understand a lot. But if somebody comes in and sets up a tent, they're not paying the fee, this per event fee. And to be honest, what you said about the people working, and I understand the fairs and stuff, yes, people like that. But these food trucks, most of them are local trucks out of Buffalo. They have the same employees working all the time. They're not working out of state. Those food trucks are traveling around, yes, but they're those local food trucks. But like for the farm festival, for example, the people that are fair oriented, like Fowler's, who I have at works as a food vendor, they have a tent. They don't have to pay this fee. But those people, I'd like to see a background check sometimes. But we're not going to background check them because they're not paying the fee. You know, I don't understand why we're just picking on the food trucks.
I think the tent situations are under the coverage of the farm festival and their liability. The liability is under the festival itself when you're doing a tent. When you're doing
That's the difference.
But that's the difference. The food truck can purchase the permit even if he's coming for your festival, but yet that gives them the right to be anywhere in the village in addition to your festival for that day, or if they do the annual one.
Well,
for
if
that
they
for
do
that
the
year.
annual one, you know
It's
what,
for
if
the
they do
whole
the
year.
annual one, I totally understand.
Right.
You know, let them do a background check, because they could be down here anytime.
I mean,
I don't know what the per day one really
But
is.
the per day one, they could, I mean, essentially, if your festival is ended, they could stay longer throughout the day to the end of the day. But that's, I mean, because they're getting a special permit with the village as a food truck. That's separate than what's under a festival tent within the park, under the constraints of the festival itself and their liability.
So that's basically what it boils down to, is liabilities. With the local law, it's a village liability, and the vending tents and the other vendors within the farm festival are under the umbrella of liability of the Festivals Fredonia. I mean,
We require them all to provide liability insurance,
yeah.
all of them.
Well, that's good that you do, you have to for your,
I don't think that, I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean
go
to-
ahead. No, go ahead,
I
please.
honestly don't think, I think the important thing to realize is, this is a work in progress. It's gonna take years, and it's always gonna change, and it's always gonna be massaged. I don't want anybody, I mean, I don't like to hear that somehow, you know, we didn't get it 100% the first time, therefore we did it wrong. We didn't do it wrong. We're working on it, and we heard the festivals committee when they came back, and we reconvened about it, and we said, you know, there's a huge point made here that we need to talk about. And really, the conversation was really geared towards the farm festival and the fact that those people aren't in the food truck industry. You know, they're in the trailer food industry. They come down with their trailer and then they go to the next event. They're not gonna come down and set up their trailer in front of a bar. So we needed to massage the policy to include those people, but make it affordable so that we didn't ruin the farm festival. We built the farm festival, and that's what we're doing here. So I don't think we're gonna leave here tonight and have 100% knocked out of the park solution to this situation. And I think we're just having a conversation tonight.
Tonight's a conversation, but I think we have a consensus of giving the option about the daily event.
I'm okay with that.
I'd be
So
okay with that.
at least that's.
Thank you for saying that, Brad.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
The idea that this is a beginning, we had to structure it somehow, and this is the new start for this. So I think it's a good starting point, and as Brad mentioned,
Well,
we're
it's
gonna
not a
have to.
starting point, we're almost at the end.
We're almost, yeah, but, well, I
Most of the
know.
law there. Yeah.
But the idea is
This is just the
year-
numbers.
I mean, over the years, if something needs to be changed, we can work at it, and I think Brad's right.
This is this long law.
Thank you.
and
Because I
it
hear
took
loud and
months.
clear, you know, when you start talking about, so now I see the vendor going, well, I'm gonna dump the trailer down in the Water Street Park, and I'm just gonna bring a tent up, and I'm gonna sidestep the registration form and pay the fee. You know, I see where this
Don't
is
give them
going.
ideas. Not give them ideas now.
Yeah.
always had that, they don't have.
Yeah, well, no, but I see where this is
But
going,
yeah.
like, so I'm sitting here thinking, all right, we're gonna have holes to plug down the road, but I'm not gonna sit here tonight and try and figure out how to plug those holes,
Right.
you know? Let's get a couple of years under the belt, but I know for a fact, we're gonna have to go plug that hole. There's gonna come a time where somebody's gonna try and outsmart the ordinance.
Right.
And we're gonna have to come back and figure out a way to address that.
All right, very good, thank you. Is there anything else?
Are we gonna look to have a resolution for the next meeting to change those fees then?
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Are we looking to have a resolution for the next meeting to change those fees so that they can move
Well, we
forward?
have to discuss it, to put it in words, actually, yes.
Yeah, I think we
Can
should,
have the
I
next
think we
meeting.
should
Yes.
I mean,
have a
they're-
resolution in 2 weeks.
I'm opposed.
You gotta understand, we have a festival coming up very soon,
Right.
June 29th. So
Right.
we kinda just need to know, so we
Right.
can tell these food trucks, hey, it's
Right.
only $50 for one day now instead of 300 or 500.
All right, that's why I'm asking that now, is in order to see where, if we could get this concluded, so, and move on.
Can I just
Dan?
recheck on what we were talking about, the per day fee of $50 or a yearly 300, or what was it, 300 or 500? 300? 5?
Right, 500 a year?
Or were we
Oh,
at 300?
Yeah, that's what it, I guess that was,
They seem to be good with the 5.
5's fine.
Okay, 5.
okay.
I know that it says 5.
So, and
That's
then
fine.
compromise and leave the background checks in at this point
Yeah,
and see how that
absolutely,
works.
Right, and it's not accumulative, so I mean, it's per day only.
Yep.
But 5 for an annual.
Yeah.
You're okay, and the festivals are okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with $50 a day with that.
All right,
Dan, is that something we could,
so let's do the
Yeah,
next.
that's something we can do.
we could work with?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Executive session for what? How we can address it, is for the.
I have other things when she's through.
Personnel.
Yeah, personal.
Can I have a motion for executive session for personnel? Oh, you need
Well,
something
okay,
else?
Just a couple other real open discussion. North County Water District, are we moving forward on that? Could we look more into the legalities of if it's possible that we are an emergency supplier, because that current contract did not say anything other than that? I think I'm kind of hooked up on that, the legalities of that, and if our engineers.
They're already looking into that, we're already discussing that.
Okay, well, I know the community, and I've seen comments that, you know, we're kind of kicking us down the road.
Well,
I don't
we
wanna
passed
see
a
it.
very vanilla resolution at the last meeting, that means nothing, actually. So I had nothing back from them. They already have the resolution, a copy of the resolution. They haven't come back to us at all. So as soon as we have some news, we're coming forward, we're coming to you again. Anything else?
Yep. Did everybody receive a copy of a letter from the Brockton Fire Department?
Yes.
That's kind of upsetting, I think, at our meetings here, and this was something that was discussed at a workshop, budget workshop, a comment. We just need to be more cognizant of what we say about our surrounding communities and our police and fire agencies. They didn't take too kindly to a comment that was made.
I wasn't here, so maybe, I don't know if someone could tell me what happened.
I believe it was a comment about amount of time that a mutual aid company would take to respond to our district. And
The comment was about a 2 to 3 second comment. I went back and reviewed it. It was about 2 to 3 second comment, Doug, and I don't think it was meant to have any kind of bad reflection about the ability to come and, for mutual aid from Brockton. They were just trying to put a view of how quickly Fredonia responds, and there was no ill will intent on them, on the department head that made the comment. So,
apparently, the Village of Brockton Fire Department in Cassadaga thought differently.
Apparently, he took offense to the amount of time that maybe he made a mistake, maybe was unaware. But that was a budget meeting, and it wasn't meant for any kind of contracts or any kind of, the department head was here to discuss the budget for this coming up year, and his needs within the department for that budget. And so that really wasn't anything to be concerned with. I mean, I'm sorry they felt that way. I feel
And at
bad.
the end, they say they're going to continue to assist us when we need them quickly, safely, as they have done in the past, which is the best thing that we can all do. We can all help each other. Sometimes during budget meetings, some things are said. They're not always totally accurate, or they don't come out the right way. Well, he felt that he should inform the board about this. This is fine.
I didn't have to inform the board, everybody got a letter. So
Right.
The board was informed by the Brockton Fire Department. I
Yes.
did not inform the board.
No,
Well,
not
if
you,
there was-
they.
Oh, they, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I got
if he
that.
felt there was an inaccuracy, as a board member, I apologize for his feeling that it was an inaccurate statement. And
Well, the chief is not here today, so,
Yeah.
it's
it wasn't intended to do anything against them. It was-
certainly no bad will against
No, that
any
was
other
done-
departments.
no.
We really appreciate their help when we need it, and giving them our help when they need it.
Okay. Just real briefly, and I won't bring this up a whole lot here. Some neighbors around college rentals already have concerns about the amounts of garbage that's left there. If the landlords can be notified, I mean, a lot of the stuff I think that's being left out can't be picked up by the local, and it's being days before.
No, we're already aware of all that.
Okay.
We already patrolled the village, and we've got a list.
Okay.
Wednesday seems like it's the big day for garbage pickup.
Okay.
We're waiting for Wednesday, and then we will cite them as we pick up stuff. Although you are right, this is the problem that we have when landlords live out of town, is our law says you can't put your garbage out 24 hours prior to your scheduled pickup.
Right.
But the landlords out of town don't care because they can't be touched. So this is a big problem that we have. But we are aware of all the ones that are out there. I think we got 22 of them.
Yeah, there's some that have
And-
mountains, just mountains of stuff.
Yep, and that's every year at this time.
That's
and
every
we-
year this time.
We
Let-
cite
let's-
every year at this time.
Let's
We
wait until
come and cite.
Wednesday.
Well, I appreciate that, thank you.
So,
Do we have time for?
we don't have time for that. We'll go to executive afterwards. We don't have time for that.
Afterwards? Mhm.
Afterwards.
I'm here for the whole thing.
Not so, I see.
Yeah, I have no choice.
Got a couple,
Okay.
okay.
Just 4 minutes
Just a couple minutes.
breather here.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I call this meeting to order, A regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 20th day of May 2019 at 7:30 p.m. in the Trustees Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of May 6, 2019. Now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
And no one seems to want to have anything to say, so I close the public portion. For my report tonight, I will call on Nate Aldridge to give us a report on the grants and where we are. Sure. Thank you.
I'll give everybody a quick rundown on various projects I'm assisting with, starting with the New York Main Street Technical Assistance Grant, $20,000 grant from Office of Community Renewal. Labella Associates was contracted with the village to complete that, and they did so about 2 weeks ago, and the state has approved that deliverable. We can share that with the board. That was the project where they selected 5 downtown buildings in a specific target area to do facade improvement studies. That will prepare us if the village chooses to apply for a implementation grant during this year's CFA season with a due date of July 26th. So we can discuss that, and we'd obviously have a resolution authorizing that submission if the village so chooses. So just some general details on that implementation grant. It's a maximum $500,000. Any eligible project building within the target area can participate with a cap at $500,000. Reimbursement for select facade improvements and select interior renovations can be reimbursed to building owners at up to 75%. And there's no cost to the village. This grant allows for up to 10% administration built in. So really no cash outlay required via the village, just coordinating the submission and the consultants who would assist. Any questions on that one?
And I think the state has a very specific amount for the whole state, which is not a great amount. How much is it?
I believe it's only 12 million statewide, so it is extremely competitive. And we have several applications from Chautauqua County too. But
We do already.
yes, but it's good to put in. Again, with grants, there's no guarantee, but having gone through the technical assistance, it does add significant credibility to our application. And we'll make sure you have a copy of that report from Labella. It's they completed 5 great suggested improvements to some key buildings downtown. So.
And we have the renderings, and
Correct.
at the next meeting, we're going to present them to the board.
I can pass this around too. This is completed
Sure.
from the consultant. We'll send this out electronically too.
Just real briefly, you said 10% for administrative was built in. Is that for the $20,000 submission here, or is that 10% built in for administration of the grant if we get it?
The larger grant if we get it.
Okay.
So the $20,000 grant, that has been expended.
Okay.
That match was only $1,000 cash from the village to get started. Working with Jim and Lori on that reimbursement now. Then this new grant, we would put in the budget dollar amount for administration. The village would do an RFP for grant management.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And do we have a preliminary budget for these 5 projects?
Well, it's going to be a total project cost of $625,000 most likely, with 125 being match of the building owners and the 500,000 up to. Again, that's what we would apply for. There's no guarantee we would get that. That would be grant dollars. If the village is interested in applying, I should be able to handle the brunt of the application, but there could be some additional support from Labella needed on cost estimations. But I'll know more once I get in and look at the application.
I can't imagine that we're not interested.
Right.
Right.
And they could provide that potentially off the books and in support of future business with the village, so, potentially.
Thank you.
Nate, just real briefly, I mean, you made a point to say that that's not guaranteed. Obviously, it's reimbursement and the administration has to be done properly, so that's kind of where you're getting at, and making sure all the different processes in the administration of it are done correctly, right?
Correct. Not all state-funded projects allow for administration, but those that do, we try to take advantage and budget in that so we can rely on outside consultant support for those.
But hopefully we get the max.
Correct.
That's what we're working on, thanks.
Yep. Moving on, the New York Main Street Anchor Grant Project, $450,000 grant for 50 West Main. This project is moving along. We have completed all environmental due diligence, and Labella just completed a soil vapor intrusion test, has final design layout to Ted Sharon with some final tweaks needed before they move on to the final mechanical electrical plan with their engineers. After that's done, it should take about a month from now or less. It will go on to SHPO review. That's a 30-day review. Barring no issues from SHPO, they'll have the documents ready to go. And we still anticipate construction by the end of this year to be complete.
Good.
The Barker, any questions on that? The Barker Common improvement projects, I think in your packets, we provided some information on upcoming events, and the consultant is working with the village to get word out. So we're looking at a June 1st public review. It'll be held in Barker Commons during the farmers market, and there's the Opera House's Bach and Beyond Festival that day, Attic and Cellar Day, so we anticipate a lot of people out and about. The consultant will set up a tent, and they'll display a public review of the proposed improvements. They'll see final public feedback on the final concept plan, the preferred concept plan. The steering committee has been meeting regularly. A couple weeks ago, we still have to do some due diligence on the final budget and scope for the Parks grant. But again, we have $430,000 to work with, but we do have some aspects of that project that have been drastically over the original budget. Thankfully, we do have the smart growth money that works well with this project, and we're doing our due diligence to pull apart, prioritize, and value engineer that project.
It's fair to say that only the fountains are about $400,000.
About 352,
352.
so out of 430, that's,
Is that with
Majority.
the recirculation or not?
that was with that taken out.
Without?
Yes.
So it's about 410 with it?
Correct.
Yeah.
We're also looking into some other funding options. There's a number of options. We could take the fountains out of the current project. We could reduce the scope, and we've been in touch with Bob Booth, who did the restoration in the 90s, to see if we can value engineer any additional costs out of that. The village could increase its local share. We could identify other funding grants through National Grid, Phase 2 EPF. So the committee, which trustees Barris and Essick are on, will reconvene after this June 1st meeting, and will recommend some actions for the board moving forward. Questions on that one? So again, we'll share electronically all these documents. This, we'll have some boards printed for the event in the park on the 1st, so the public and you all can get those details. Then just briefly, we're making fast progress on the Empire State Development Smart Growth Award, the $2.5 million. ESD board approval was in April. Last week, it received approval from the Public Authority Control Board. We have approval of 2 RFPs that are ready to go out. Approval from Mr. Guard and ESD for design, engineering, construction management services. Those will be ready to go out to a list of pre-approved ESD contractors as soon as we have received the GDA, the Grant Disbursement Agreement, and that's executed, and that should be any day. So as soon as
When do
we
you
have
think they're
that,
going to go out?
we'll go out to bid as soon as we have the final GDA for you to execute.
Sure.
And that should be forthcoming any day. And I'll work with Jim on the details. The state will deposit the wire. This is a different type of grant. It's not reimbursable. They'll wire the full amount, $202.5 million, into a Impressed account. I'll go over the details with Jim, but we'll get invoices, we'll expend dollars, we'll have ESD approve those invoices, and we can cut the checks once a month
From that account?
from that account. Any questions on that one?
No, that's it.
And again, that's for the Opera House and the streetscape, the placemaking, which ties in nicely with our Parker Common project.
Very nicely.
Very nice, yes.
Finally, just want to mention you have a resolution of support for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Again, this is something we'll, time permitting, continue to apply for, even though this year we had just received money last year, so I'm not sure how competitive we'll be this year, but it's a great opportunity for us to use as a planning exercise to look at what projects we've started, what need work, what ideas we haven't thought about in the past, and most importantly, those are vetted by the state. We make a pitch to the Regional Economic Development Council, and it makes any consolidated funding applications we submit all the more competitive because the same people that score those sit in on this presentation.
Let's don't forget about us. We'll be there again.
Yes, so maybe not this year, but in future years, it's all about playing the long game with the state
No,
funding.
with a strong enough, you never know, with a strong enough application, you never know. So,
Absolutely.
I believe there's been a couple of communities that have won some money more than 1 year,
Sure.
you've got 2 years in a row, so they would be, it is a possibility to get something.
Absolutely. Any other questions for me on anything? That it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nate. Thank you very much. The only other thing is I want to thank the street department. Bob Scudder called me when I was driving here to thank me for the patching up the East Municipal parking lot. So, very nice job. Thank you. Tony's not here, but thank you very much. Anyways. All right. Trustee Christina? Trustee Linden?
No, thanks.
Trustee Essick?
Nothing.
Trustee Barris?
I have no comment.
Great. Let's go to reports.
I had the Fredonia Fire Department report for the month of April 2019. A total of 2 fire calls, one in the town and one on the thruway, the New York State Thruway. 114 rescue and EMS. 5 hazardous conditions, 8 service calls, 18 good intent calls, 26 false alarm and false calls, for a total of 173. That's for the fire department. The next report is the village justice report for the month of April 2019. Number of cases closed for vehicle and traffic, 115. Criminal, 47. Village ordinances, 19. Civil cases, 6. Environmental cases, 1. ABC laws, 2. For a total of 190 cases. Total fines and surcharges, $12,427. Parking tickets, $4,425. For a total of $16,852. And those are the reports.
Thank you. Correspondence was received from David Kleparek, coordinator of Fredonia Chamber of Commerce, requesting the use of the tourist information booth and area surrounding the tourist information booth for the annual 20 miles of attic and cellar days, May the 31st, June the 1st, and June the 2nd, 2019, and to have the police department bag meters in front of the tourist information booth.
Be it resolved, the request from the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce to use the tourist information booth and surrounding area of the tourist information booth for its annual attic and cellar days on May 31st, June 1st, and 2nd, 2019 is hereby approved. And be it further resolved that the Fredonia Police Department bag the parking meters on Main Street in front of the tourist information in connection with the annual attic and cellar days.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Correspondence was received from David Dengler, President of the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce, requesting the use of West Barker Common and to suspend the open container law during the music in the park, Wednesday, June the 26th, Wednesday, July the 24th, and Wednesday, August the 28th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Whereas the request from the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce to use Barker Common during the music in the park, Wednesday, June 26th, Wednesday, July 24th, and Wednesday, August 28th, 2019, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. is hereby approved as follows. Number one, bag parking meters, no parking on Park Street, starting at 5:30. Number two, allow food sales within the park provided by a chamber member restaurant of the chamber's choosing. They will have all the necessary New York State certificates and catering permits to ensure they are in compliance with New York State laws. Number three, allow for face painting and for a balloon artist to provide activities for the children within West Barker Common. Now therefore be it resolved, the request is hereby approved with the stipulation that the group will be responsible for cleanup and is subject to the direction of the police department and the village receiving a certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the village as an additional insured.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
I abstain.
Trustee Barris, you have to vote.
I abstain.
It's your responsibility to vote.
I abstain.
Unless there's a conflict of interest.
Trustee Barris, we do have to put the reason for the abstention on the record if you feel you have a reason
Yes,
to abstain.
I'm opposed to any resolution which involves control of chemical substances which are ingested.
And I respect
So,
that.
and I've consistently abstained over the last 2 years on these issues.
And that's correct, and I do respect that. However, we have looked into the abstaining issue, and unless there is a financial conflict or some type of other conflict of interest, merely because you object to an idea as a whole, is not a valid reason to abstain under New York State law. Basically, what New York State law requires is that all the trustees vote, unless, in another section of law, there is a financial interest, there's some other type of conflict of interest. Generally, being opposed to a situation or a group of laws is not a valid reason in New York State to abstain. So if you feel that you can't vote in favor, you have to vote against, but you do have to vote, sir.
Okay? I have professional involvement in issues of chemical substance abuse. This is a conflict. I abstain.
Go to resolutions.
Whereas bids for liquefied gas chlorine for the wastewater treatment plant and water filtration plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019, and whereas Betsy Sly, Chief Operator of the wastewater treatment plant, and Chris Surma, Chief Operator of the water filtration plant, have reviewed the bids and have recommended awarding the bids to Jones Chemical, 100 Sunny Sol Boulevard, Caledonia, New York. Now therefore be it resolved that Jones Chemical, to be known as JCI, is hereby awarded the bid for liquefied gas chlorine for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020 at $85 for 150-pound cylinders with no container deposit and no fuel charge for the water filtration plant, and $700 per ton cylinder with no container deposit and no fuel charge for the wastewater treatment plant.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Whereas bids for synthetic flocculant for the wastewater treatment plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019, and whereas Betsy Sly, Chief Operator of the wastewater treatment plant, has reviewed the bids and has recommended awarding the bid to SNF Polydyne, 1 Chemical Plant Road, Riceboro, Georgia. Therefore be it resolved that SNY Polydyne is hereby awarded the bid for synthetic flocculant NE 2018 at $1.85 per pound for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020.
I second that.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Whereas bids for ferric chloride for the wastewater treatment plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019, and whereas Betsy Sly, Chief Operator of the wastewater treatment plant, has reviewed the bids and has recommended awarding the bid to Chemera Water Solutions Incorporated, 4321 West 6th Street, Lawrence, Kansas. Therefore be it resolved that Chemera Water Solutions Incorporated is hereby awarded the bid for ferric chloride at a price of $702 per dry ton delivered for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye. Whereas bids for polyaluminum chloride for the water filtration plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019. And whereas Chris Surma, Chief Operator of the water filtration plant, has reviewed the bids and has recommended awarding the bid to Slack Chemical Company Incorporated, 465 South Clinton Street, Carthage, New York. Now, therefore be it resolved, Slack Chemical Company Incorporated is hereby awarded the bid for polyaluminum chloride for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020 at the bid of $181.50 per 55-gallon drum with a $45 drum deposit.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Whereas bids for polyorthophosphate for the water filtration plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019, and whereas Chris Surma, Chief Operator of the water filtration plant, has reviewed the bids and has recommended awarding the bid to Slack Chemical Company Incorporated, 465 Clinton Street, Carthage, New York, 13619. Therefore be it resolved that Slack Chemical Incorporated is hereby awarded the bid for polyorthophosphate for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020 at the bid of $275 per 30-gallon drum with no drum deposit.
I second that resolution.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Whereas bids for powdered blend of inorganic phosphates for the water filtration plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019. And whereas Chris Surma, Chief Operator of the water filtration plant, has reviewed the bids and has recommended awarding the bid to Slack Chemical Company Incorporated, 465 South Clinton Street, Carthage, New York. Therefore be it resolved that Slack Chemical Company Incorporated is hereby awarded the bid for powdered blend of inorganic phosphates for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020 at the bid price of $97.50 per 50-pound pails with no deposit.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Whereas bids for polycatatonic polymer for the water filtration plant were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019, and whereas Chris Surma, Chief Operator of the water filtration plant, has reviewed the bids and has recommended awarding the bid to Applied Specialties of 33555 Pin Oak Parkway, Avon Lake, Ohio. Therefore be it resolved that Applied Specialties Incorporated is hereby awarded the bid for polycatatonic polymer for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020 at the bid price of $266.80 per 55-gallon drums with no drum deposit.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Whereas bids for the water meters for the Department of Public Works were publicly opened and read on May 1st, 2019. Therefore be it resolved after review of bids, Thai Sales Incorporated, 36 Hudson Road, Sudbury, Massachusetts, is hereby awarded the bid for water meters for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020, as per attached bid form, a copy of which is attached to and made part of these minutes.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the following bids, being the lowest bid submitted for village fuel, is hereby accepted for the prices set forth below for the village fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2019 and ending May 31st, 2020. TPS 1828 Route 20 Silver Creek is hereby awarded the bid for unleaded gasoline with dealer markup of .0223 plus the current refinery rack price on day of delivery, and low sulfur diesel fuel with dealer markup of .0223 plus the current refinery rack price on day of delivery, and all weather diesel fuel with dealer markup of .0223 plus the current refinery rack price on day of delivery.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Be resolved that the village pay $4,881 for its annual 2019-2020 membership dues to the New York State Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officials.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye. Be it resolved that Jacob Christopher of King Street, Dunkirk, and Andrew Field of Webster Road, Fredonia, are hereby hired as seasonal laborers to work with the Department of Public Works at the state minimum hourly rate, currently at $11.10 per hour, effective June 3rd, 2019, subject to civil service rules and regulations and with no other benefits to be given.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Be resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstract number 513 is hereby approved and directed paid.
I second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
I haven't seen abstract number 513.
Anybody see that?
I can't make a judgment.
I don't have supporting documentation for
What?
abstracts, they simply go in a resolution.
So you have it?
No, I don't have supporting documentation for abstracts.
You don't?
No.
Okay. but that, you
I
got
don't
that
have
from,
anything here either.
yeah.
Here, Diana. It's, the abstract is, you received a
The transfers.
budget transfer report
Yes.
that includes the abstracts that were gonna be approved for payment tonight.
Right.
But if you wanna stop in tomorrow, I can show you the abstract. It's just a listing of the checks that were written. That's all it is.
I think the trustees should receive copies on a routine basis.
Fine. So we'll do.
Thank you.
You haven't voted yet.
You vote?
He did not vote.
You vote, Dr. Barris?
No,
Okay.
Voted no?
Okay, go ahead.
Be it resolved pursuant to section 5-520 of the village law, the following schedules of budget transfers are hereby approved: general fund, water fund, sewer fund, and capital fund.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
aye.
Whereas the Central Connections Roadmap recommends focusing investment along Central Avenue in both the city of Dunkirk and the village of Fredonia to build new excitement among residents, increase private sector investment, build a lasting partnership between Dunkirk and Fredonia, and raise awareness of the unique assets that both communities have to offer to its visitors. And whereas the city of Dunkirk obtained funding in 2017 from the Western New York Smart Growth Community Fund to place banners on select telephone poles within the city and the village which brand the corridor. The respective communities and Fredonia State University at New York at no cost to the village of Fredonia. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with Niagara Mohawk to place banners on a total of 50 telephone poles in the village as outlined in the attached documentation. And be it further resolved that the village maintain the following minimum limits of liability per occurrence, which shall include contractual liability and include Niagara Mohawk as an additional insured. Bodily injury, $1 million / $1 million. Property damage, $1 million / $1 million, or combined single limit, $1 million, or the BI and PD per occurrence, $1 million, general aggregate and product aggregate, $2 million each.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Whereas the village requires the services of an electrical contractor for the proposed wastewater treatment plant upgrades, and whereas the Wendell Engineering has let the project out for public bidding, and whereas Wendell Engineering has recommended BECC Electric, therefore be it resolved that the village hereby awards the bid to BECC Electric at a price not to exceed $369,375.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Whereas the village requires the services of a general contractor for the proposed wastewater treatment plant upgrades, and whereas Wendell Engineering has let the project out for public bidding, and whereas Wendell Engineering has recommended H&K Services Incorporated, therefore be it resolved the village hereby award the bids to H&K Services Incorporated at a price not to exceed $4,113,920.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Whereas as part of Governor Andrew Cuomo's Regional Economic Development Council's Round 4 of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, otherwise known as DRI, provides an opportunity for one downtown from each of the 10 Regional Economic Development Councils to be nominated by their respective council for the award for which the submission must come from the respective municipal government. And whereas in conjunction to the DRI process, up to $10 million will be made available to 10 communities to aid in the transformation of communities to advance high quality of life and a critical mass of diverse public amenities and activities serve as catalysts for increased and sustainable local economic development. And whereas the Village of Fredonia has bolstered efforts and formed partnerships to advance downtown revitalization efforts and is currently administering several downtown revitalization projects, including the improvements to Barker Commons, a New York Main Street Anchor project, and a New York Main Street Technical Assistance Grant. And whereas the village in 2018 was awarded $2.5 million through the Smart Growth Community Fund Phase 2 of the Buffalo Billion, based on the DRI proposal, and whereas significant opportunity still exists to leverage private investment downtown Fredonia with strategic public investment, and whereas the village has received and improved upon its 2018 DRI application, now be it resolved that the Board of Trustees is in full support of the submission of the Western New York Reddick an application for the 2019 Downtown Revitalization Initiative.
I second that resolution.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Can I please have a motion for executive
I
session?
move that we go into executive sessions to consider actions regarding a particular individual.
And in this case,
Anticipated litigation.
Anticipate.
Anticipated litigation.
And an anticipated litigation.
Have a second?
Second that motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Thank you.